Australia is once again under the international spotlight because South Australian Senator Sterling Griff spoke in front of Parliament complaining about anime and manga he considers to be so offensive that they should be outright banned. And unfortunately, when it comes to my government, more often than not these calls for censorship are passed through unopposed and leave people like me worse off than before. So rather than saying nothing about it, I'm going to tear down Sterling's speech and show you how he's lying to the Australian public and wasting the taxpayers' money. Claim number 1. Experts that advocate against child exploitation have referred to this type of anime and manga as a gateway to the abuse of actual children. Experts also say that explicit anime and manga can be used by pedophiles as tools to groom children. This is the main crux of his argument and the main issue I want to tackle, because he's using a slimy workaround to suggest that it's not anime and manga directly causing crime, but instead is being used by pedophiles to exploit children. The only problem is, there are no studies I could find supporting this argument. At no point does Sterling even name these so-called experts, which I know for a fact he did that on purpose to give himself more credibility. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology, but Sterling won't consider me to be an expert unless I agree with him or provide a vague academic statement that he can use to make his opinion sound legitimate. But unlike him, I actually have studies we can look through to see what pedophiles actually do to exploit children. Spoiler alert, none of them mention anime as a grooming tool. In order to gain access to children, pedophiles tried to groom the child's environment by making themselves a valued member of the community. From there, they work on physical and psychological grooming to dismantle their victims' barriers. But at no point is anime mentioned in this process. Even if by some miracle Sterling found one pedophile who used anime to rape or exploit a kid, that doesn't prove his point. The stereotype of a pedophile selling ice cream to children doesn't mean we should ban ice cream. One way pedophiles groom victims is by initiating sexually charged conversations and giving them pornography. More than likely, when Sterling talks about experts saying anime may be used or can be used to groom children, those unnamed experts are actually talking about porn and conflating anime as being the same thing. And if they aren't saying that, then Sterling is still wrong anyway, because banning anime you don't like will never stop pedophiles from abusing children. If you would like to read more studies on child grooming, I'll leave a link to my sources in the description for you to look through yourself. For the purpose of this video, all you need to know is that child grooming is a lot more complicated than Sterling makes it out to be, and his reckless slander against anime is indicative of his draconian behaviour. Claim number 2. Child pornography, even in animated form, is child abuse material. This is a moralistic argument with no evidence provided. The production of anime and manga is handled by adults in almost every scenario. The only exceptions I can think of are films created by Studio Ghibli, who as far as I'm aware only hire children to play the roles of certain main characters. I would like to list examples of these films, but I have no intention of giving Sterling an easier time trying to censor my hobby. Fundamentally, Sterling believes that the depiction of a person means that person is somehow real and deserves protection. And by his logic, it would make sense for him to advocate for the censorship of Stephen King's It and Game of Thrones, because both books feature underage characters having sex or otherwise being groomed by adults. But we all know Sterling won't do that, because he probably enjoys Game of Thrones, and even though that TV show also features incest, it's one set of rules for him and a different set of rules for you and me. I wonder what Sterling would say about that new movie called The Trouble with Being Born. Claim number 3. Sword Art Online features a rape scene between Asuna and Sugu and sexual assault between female characters. This is not only a lie, but legally speaking, what Sugu did to Asuna was not actually rape. In Australian law, the term sexual assault includes a list of different acts one person commits against another. Rape is only one way to sexually assault someone in this country, and it describes a very specific sexual act involving penetration. Sugu never penetrated Asuna in Sword Art Online. Even South Australia, which Sterling represents, defines rape as non-consensual sexual intercourse. Inappropriate touching and molestation are legally not the same as rape. Sterling also asks why sexual assault is okay when the classification board provides context for their ratings, and this is where my main argument comes in. The most important context to consider whenever a fictional event is being discussed is that, at the end of the day, fiction is not real and therefore should not be censored. What Sterling describes as sexual assault in an anime is none of my concern. I don't care about his opinion on two high school girls touching each other. The voice actors are adults, and the characters are not real. Claim number 4, No Game No Life features incest between Sora and Shiro and includes images of children that are illegal. This is misleading. Unlike in Game of Thrones, in No Game No Life, Sora and Shiro are not actually related by blood, they are step-siblings. Shiro displays some signs of liking Sora as more than a brother, but he doesn't respond to those feelings in kind. It's also worth mentioning that other female characters in the anime are actually much older than Shiro and are depicted sexually much more often. You can complain about the main characters all you like, but to accuse No Game No Life of showing images of children means Sterling only saw clips involving Shiro and is misrepresenting a work of fiction that doesn't actually depict sex. Claim number 5, Eromanga Sensei should be banned because Sagiri draws porn. I'm sorry that a relatively mild anime like Eromanga Sensei offends you, Sterling, but once again you're using emotional appeals and misrepresentations to make a bad argument. Just like in No Game No Life, Sagiri is not blood related to her stepbrother Masumune. Not only that, but the show goes out of its way to show Masumune criticizing Sagiri for drawing sexualized artwork. She does not actually draw pornography, often commenting on the fact that she's not an adult and shouldn't be doing it. As painfully average as Eromanga Sensei is as an anime, it does have artistic and thematic merit, because Sagiri and Masumune over the course of the show work through complicated feelings and situations while coping with the death of their parents. To dismiss all of this as child porn means Sterling wasted taxpayer dollars on slandering Japanese media hoping to get it banned from the country. Claim number 6. The manga adaptation of Goblin Slayer features children being raped and enjoying it. If fiction had human rights, what Sterling just did was defamation. Goblin Slayer does no such thing. In fact, it does the exact opposite of saying rape is enjoyable. Goblins in this story are depicted as savages who rape women to keep their species alive. Goblins raping children doesn't help them achieve that goal, so to see Sterling blatantly lie about this manga is honestly pretty disgusting. Goblins are completely irredeemable, and the main character, Goblin Slayer, made it his mission to kill every single goblin in existence after they raped and killed his sister. Goblin Slayer is a hero in the story, and the goblins in the manga are no different from other stories that portray goblins as evil. Even if I agreed with Sterling's mischaracterization that Goblin Slayer is about children enjoying being raped by monsters, he would still be in the wrong by trying to censor this manga. Sterling, you are an authoritarian and a hypocrite who is out of touch with reality. There is nothing centrist about you. All you're doing is painting a false narrative demonizing all of anime as being responsible for children being targeted by pedophiles. You can cry all day long and beg Japan to censor offensive media, but you and I both know you won't get anywhere by doing that. You think you're clever by asking the Australian government to ban anime for you, but nothing you do will stop Australians from acquiring anime illegally. Banning offensive media will actually cause piracy to increase in this country and negatively impact businesses, which are already struggling in this country. So if you really want to take my anime away from me, good luck. Thanks to you, I'm going to pick up the anime you mentioned in your speech. You embarrassed yourself all over the world and made Australians look like idiots, and I want nothing to do with you. The only way you're getting my anime is by putting a bullet through my fucking head.